The Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, says the U.S. is expecting a response from Iran today on a potential peace proposal. It comes as attacks have escalated in the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. has carried out what it says are self-defense strikes on Iran after 3 U.S. warships came under fire. The Iranian military released this video purportedly showing its Navy firing missiles during the exchange. U.S. Central Command says the destroyers were not struck. Both Washington and Tehran blame the other for attacking first. Meanwhile, President Trump praised the military action, but insisted the ceasefire was still intact.
Every missile was knocked down, every drone was knocked down, and the people that shot it are no longer with us. If there's no ceasefire, you're not going to have to know. You're just going to have to look at one big glow coming out of Iran.
CBS News White House reporter Aaron Navarro joins us now from the White House. So, Aaron, White House says the ceasefire is still intact, but this seems to be the opposite of a ceasefire when you have two navies, adversaries, firing upon each other. I don't know what that's called.
Vlad, good to be with you. Yeah, it's hard to see how this helps the diplomatic route, especially that President Trump is trying to embark on and reaching at least setting the terms of a deal, negotiations with Iran. At this point, Iran is still reviewing that 14-point plan the U.S. sent earlier this week that sets the terms and timeline for peace talks. And as you mentioned, Secretary Rubio said they're expecting a response at some point today, adding that it could help put the two countries, quote, in the serious process of negotiation. And as you heard earlier, President Trump was almost boastful of the strikes, touting how they sunk Iranian drones and missiles. But in part, maybe why he believes it does not break the ceasefire, he also downplayed the severity of it all, saying that the U.S. Apache helicopters that used missiles to take out those Iranian small boats was just a, quote, love tap. And it was Iran, quote, trifling with the United States. U.S. Central Command, in their statement about what happened yesterday, also said that they are not looking to escalate. And last night, President Trump also seemed ambivalent on if a deal would actually be reached. We've heard him sound confident without citing any evidence that Iran is close to agreeing to what the U.S. wants. But last night, he told reporters, quote, it could happen any day when talking about the deal. And he also said it might not happen.
And Aaron, let's talk about those new jobs numbers. New data shows that the U.S. added 115,000 jobs in April. That blows away expectations. What reaction, if any, have we heard from the White House yet?
Yeah, nothing yet from President Trump or the press shop that we have reached out. We have seen the White House Rapid Response account on social media sharing news clips touting the jobs report and the numbers that were mentioned. It is a big win for the White House, at least for April. It surpasses expectations of about 55,000 to 60,000 jobs that were expected for that month of April. There was also a revision that added jobs to what was reported back in March, which was already seen as a good month for the White House in terms of jobs added. It's welcome news, especially as gas prices are still surging and could potentially cause airfare costs and tickets to rise. It's been something the White House has been struggling with, especially as we approach the 10th week of this war with Iran, and comes as Republicans on Capitol Hill, as well as those working on Republican campaigns across the country for the midterm elections, have been trying to focus more on the president's agenda instead of answering questions about the war with Iran and its rising gas prices.
All right, Aaron Navarro tracking it all from the White House. Thank you so much. For more on the situation in the Middle East, we are now joined by CBS News senior foreign correspondent Holly Williams. Holly, bring us up to speed on what we're hearing from Iran about the latest clashing in the Strait of Hormuz.
Hey there, Adriana and Vlad. Well, as you know, U.S. Central Command said that 3 American destroyers came under attack by Iran as they transited the Strait of Hormuz yesterday. As usual, we're getting a very different version of events from Iran. Iran says it was the U.S. that initiated the exchange of fire and accuses U.S. forces of attacking an Iranian oil tanker. On a separate but related issue, that is a possible peace deal, Iran said yesterday that it had not yet reached a conclusion on a U.S. proposal. And then this morning, we heard from the Iranian foreign minister via social media who said, quote, every time a diplomatic solution is on the table, the U.S. opts for a reckless military adventure. So what's going on here? It could just be what the Iranians are saying, that they're still thinking about it and they're frustrated by U.S. actions. It could also be, and this is speculation, that Iran is slow-walking negotiations because they believe they have a strategic advantage, because they've been able to paralyze commercial traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, send gas prices soaring, and pile pressure on President Trump to end the conflict. Or it could be that because of this war and deadly strikes on Iranian leadership, the Iranian leadership is now in disarray and unable to make a quick decision. The bottom line is we don't know what's happening behind closed doors in Tehran. The Iranian leadership, the Iranian regime is known for many things. Transparency is not one of them.
So, Holly, in a further sign of the fragility of the ceasefire, the UAE says it has come under attack this morning. What are you learning about that?
Right, so the United Arab Emirates, that's a key American ally here in the Middle East, said that it was again dealing with incoming missile and drone attacks from Iran this morning. I think this gets to a really big question here in the Middle East, which is around some of America's Middle Eastern allies, places like the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Bahrain, and how much pain they are willing and able to continue to take because of this war. Now, they're not friends with Iran. They don't want Iran to have a nuclear program. But quite apart from the loss of life caused to their people by this war, they've also suffered enormous economic damage because of strikes on oil facilities, because of the paralysis in the Strait of Hormuz. By one estimate, the cost of repairing and restoring the energy sector here in the Middle East could cost up to $58 billion because of this war.
All right, Holly Williams in Tel Aviv, thank you so much.